everybody, welcome to the next in the Apex interview series. I'm Tim Britton, and if you have just stumbled across us and you're not sure what the Apex Challenge is, you've never heard of us, how about scaling the Helvellyn Peak in the Lake District 9.2 times to accumulate the total height of Mount Everest? Sounds a bit crazy, right? Sounds a little bit like an unsurmountable challenge. Well, how about if we add on, you've got to do it in 48 hours. That is what the Apex Challenge is all about. And this is the deep dive interview series where you get to meet some of the people that are taking part in this challenge. So I am really pleased to bring in the wonderful Craig Finlay, who's going to be here, and he is going to tell us all of his story, how he came into fitness, exercise, and also, if I'm not mistaken, how his first mountain that he climbed was actually the Helvellyn Peak itself. So Craig, thanks so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have your company.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
And thanks for actually making it onto the actual interview, because we did have a little bit of a technical hiccup beforehand, which my computer was playing up, but we managed to make it work and we got over it. So, all right, so let's just kind of cover off a little bit of background to yourself first of all. So you are, you're a family man now. You've got a lovely little girl. Girl, she's a bundle of energy. I saw one of the videos on your social media where she was just. Was it like a beach you were on, or was she up a mountain just dancing in the dark with a light?
Oh, we was at Wasdale. We were camping at Wasdale there. That was last Easter, so I took them down there. We camped, and then the next morning I got out at 10 early, and I put all eggs around, at shore.
Oh,
so then she got to get up and do an egg hunt for Easter. So yeah, that was a good night.
Oh, it was great. And this is the thing for me is when you look at your social, everything just looks, well, one, it looks like you love to go hiking in the cold weather. Everything looks to be covered in snow. Every time you seem to be out, it's like you're braving the elements. But okay, so let's just dive back. So your first mountain you climbed was Helvellyn, and you said that was in 2020. So that's only just about 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2020. So it was in, again, Arctic conditions. So, and yeah, my first mountain, and it was a tough one as well. Bear in mind, we didn't have much idea what we were doing either.
Because there's a lot I want to cover with you this morning, because one, the journey that you've gone through has happened really relatively quickly. In 3 years, you've kind of become a massive hiker. You're scaling different mountains. Once you've done 76 of the Wainwrights already, so I know that you're really ticking your way through them. You've been wild camping and things. You've been really progressing your journey with the outdoors and with adventure. But let's kind of go back to how this all started, because life before you started hiking, you said it wasn't quite the same as it is now. You were, well, you were working all the time. And
so, like, beforehand, I used to work away all the time. Mm-hmm. So we'd be doing like 70, 80, even 90 hours a week. Sometimes we'd go away for 2-3 weeks at a time, working every single day. And it's like it's not really a good lifestyle, You'd be working all day, in pub at night. Because like there's not really else to do when you're working away. It's either you sit in pub or you sit in your hotel room. So yeah, basically before all this, it was drinking, working and drinking. Really, that's all I did.
Yeah, and I mean, for a lot of people, that just kind of becomes the norm, and you fall into this cycle, and that becomes the cycle. So what made this change then? What made you decide to go from working every day, finishing work, going down to the pub, to then, no, I want to actually spend as much time as I can outside, living, enjoying my life, having adventure and scaling these mountains? What made that shift for you?
So basically what happened was we was in lockdown and I was looking after somebody with cancer, but I wasn't working. So I was it was one of them where you had no support because you were isolating, and at the time we didn't know how bad it was and what have you. So it was like basically just me. But I was really stressed out at the time as well. So I was laying awake all night, bored out me, and I was getting bored and frustrated. So I started just locally around parks and that, and then that's when I turned to YouTube looking for for more routes to go on, and that's when I came across wild camping and mountains and such. So yeah, that's how I started. I just looked at it on YouTube, thought I fancy that, I went and did it.
I love it, and I love the fact that that was it. You decide, and that was one of the things. COVID and lockdown was a crazy time for a lot of people, but for some of us, it made some of the best changes and shifts in life, which is clearly done for you because you
Yeah,
found something that you have such a passion for, and you can see that in all of your socials and the way that you walk and hike, and you can see the enjoyment that you get from it. So okay, so you'd started to find this, you'd found some walks and you'd started getting into it. But then when you say your first mountain was Helvellyn, number one, that's quite a heck of a mountain to make your first one. But
yeah,
also you decided to kind of pepper a little bit more, how can we say, difficulty into that by the fact that you'd had a full knee replacement only 4 months beforehand, and you'd just had COVID, what, a couple of weeks beforehand?
yeah. I just got rid of COVID like 2 weeks before, and obviously I'd had a total knee replacement. And to be fair, we're quite lucky because we was looking to go and do Striding Edge, but the snow was that
Right.
bad. The snow was so bad we couldn't even get the car to the car park to start from there. So we had to do it. We had to do it from I think is it Failmere? Is it where you just go straight up?
Yeah.
So we did it from there, and to be honest with you, there were people telling us not to go up at bottom. So like one of my mates had his steel toe cap boots and some just working gloves on.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
it's just, yeah, yeah. I've got the photos.
That's brilliant. I'm going to get you to. Right, you need to send me those photos. I'm going to put that in. I'm going to put that into our interview so we can show that. All
Yeah,
right.
I'll send you the photos. So three of us went up, and to be fair, it was I'd never done something so hard in my life. Like my lungs weren't working properly, and
Yeah.
but I don't the buzz that I got when I got to the top. I was like that just set me off. I've been chasing it ever since.
It is. It's that. It's the. It's like adrenaline when you get to the top and you turn around. And by the way, if you haven't seen, go on and check out one of Craig's YouTube videos. He's got some beautiful aerial footage of some of these mountains, and I think it was later on. You must have gone, and I think it's Helvellyn, but you must have done it at another point or something. And there's
Yeah,
some great wide shots of it, and it just looks, and you'll understand why people want to do what they do. But let's kind of cover this off because you're. I know you don't mind me saying, so you're only 39, and
yeah.
you've had a full knee replacement. Now that's quite young to have had a full knee replacement. So
Yeah, yeah.
how, if you don't mind, so how did that come about? How have you had to have a full knee replacement? And then what was it like having to go through the rehab for that knee replacement? And then 4 months later, scaling up one of the highest peaks that we have on our continent. So how did this all come about?
So, like as I said, well, I worked a lot and I weren't looking after myself as such. So, but even when I wasn't working, we was driving. So we worked all over the country. Um, I was a sign engineer, so we were just so like when I wasn't working, I was constantly driving. But I got a little bit of arthritis in my knee. Ignored it, kept going and kept going and kept going. Um, to the point where by the time by the time I was like, "Ah, I need to get this sorted." Um, they they basically said, "Wow, there's not much we can do with it. It needs replacing." So then, like the lockdown, it was just like I had a couple of operations cancelled, so it just went on for quite a long time. So
Yeah.
I wasn't actually really able to work either. So I was just stuck. So yeah, they killed it. They replaced it. It were dead. And but like the rehab, there wasn't any. So again, it were like when I had it done, it was another around a lot. They didn't want you in the hospitals, at the time.
Yeah,
So
of
you just
course.
got a sheet of paper, sent home, crack on.
Really? That was it? You just,
That was it.
this is worth, okay, this is a whole nother interview that we could go on with that one. But
Yeah,
so, Okay, so you effectively you were doing your own home rehab then.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So then
naturally, 4 months later, you decide, well, I might as well just walk up a mountain.
yeah, I was too bored because I always need I wouldn't say I'm hyperactive, but I need to be busy.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, we're just like it were like two of my mates. 'Cause I've been watching YouTube and that at home. I've been watching a lot when I were doing rehab as well.
Yeah, of course.
Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
do that. And I was sending pictures and that to my mates. Like we need to do this. We need to do this. Like I'm gonna do that. And I was sending pictures and that to my mates. Like we need to do this. We need to do this. And then we seen Striding Edge, and it were like, right, let's go do that. And like it just happened that the day we were doing it were heavy snow. so so yeah, we got there and we did it. We got up there.
Are you trying to find other challenges along the way? Have you kind of started thinking about the Apex Challenge and how you're going to kind of progress your mileage and things so you are able to kind of try and tackle the full 9.2 summits when it comes to September, or are you just taking it very slowly, gradually, and just thinking, I'm just going to gradually just build the mileage? Because I mean, I suppose you don't know how your knee might react to doing this increased mileage.
Yeah, I mean my knee's all right and my knee is all right. I mean I did Scanastri in Isle of Skye, and that was and I did it from Sliggican. I hope I've said that right. Sliggican, which is it's like 30 kilometers there and 30 kilometers back, and I did that with I had quite a heavy backpack on as well.
Hmm.
So I hiked up there, camped, and then I hiked back, and that's 60 kilometers in 2 days, and I was fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
I did 60 kilometers, and I just jumped straight in car and drove straight home as well. So quite a long 2 days. So like the actual, I can handle the distance. I know that,
Yeah.
and it's the up and down
The
which
ascent.
I'm gonna practice for. I mean one of this Welsh 3000 is obviously a good start
Yeah.
for training, but I'm gonna do a lot of circular walks in Lake District on build up as well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a lot of them, which also I'll tick off a lot of Wainwrights at the same time. So I get
Nice.
them done. But I'm going to do some training with Joe as well. You know, like I
Yeah.
might try and do like a bit of a fight camp, you know, with him as well on build up to it.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
like strength training. It's like the strength and endurance training so much. And I think some people, because we've been talking to quite a few different people, and different people have different ideas and different ways of training, but incorporating strength training, especially core strength training, is going to be key, because going up and down the constant ascents, it's going to start to take your toll, and it's where your core, the connection of the hips, is really important, because those muscles are going to start to fatigue and tire. So I think it's quite interesting that you've got this idea of almost doing like a fight camp style training, because it will be so interesting to see how all of these different training methodologies play out when we're coming up to the mountain, because it's the first kind of time that anything like this is kind of being done here in the UK. So it's quite exciting to see. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it kind of pans out. So is there anything about the Helvellyn Challenge that, other than kind of the ascents, that you're kind of slightly concerned about? Have you thought about, or have you ever done anything where the kind of the duration has been a factor as well? Like, because obviously to complete the 9.2 ascents, there's going to be quite minimal rest across the 2 days.
yeah, well, I'm going to go up there and I'm actually going to do some training on Helvellyn.
Hmm.
Um, and I just need to get a feel for the actual. I know I can do it in up and down in a couple of hours. I know I can do that anyway, because that's usually the time it takes me. But I'm just thinking where it flattens out, maybe I might try and get a little bit of a run on.
Yeah.
Um, mm, wait, and then the descents it takes me longer to come down than it does to come up, because I'm always thinking about my knee.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do some practicing with that, speeding that up, you know, with poles and what have you.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna try that, and obviously take pressure off the knee as well. But I also
Yeah.
know that I'm not really gonna have a heavy backpack on, which normally I do because I tend to camp a lot.
Yeah.
So it's just a few things that I need to figure out, and obviously the food and what have you as well, because I need to make sure that I've got enough energy while I'm going along this
Yeah.
9.2
Well,
times.
that's one of the good things. It is fully catered, so there is going to be there's never going to be a shortage of food.
Yeah,
That's definite. But it's definite testing it as well. It's making sure you test what foods work for your body
yeah,
and getting your body used to processing food while it's still on the go. And I was talking to a lady called Sandra, and she was saying that same thing because she's done a lot of ultras, and she was saying that's something that people really must train, is getting the body to understand, I need you to digest and break down the food and also still work relentlessly to go up and down. So that's definitely one of those things.
yeah.
But you were saying about your pack, and you were saying about it not being as heavy. 100%, it's not going to have to be as heavy. But let's just talk about your first wild camping experience, because this was something you said to me that you'd given it a go, and I love the fact that you were just learning everything off YouTube.
Yeah.
Have a look. So your first wild camping experience, just talk us around that and just what that experience was like, because I would imagine that it didn't necessarily all go perfectly to plan, and you didn't have all the right stuff. Maybe.
I didn't. Well, I just went to go outdoors and bought a few bits, and then I went up to. I did actually plan on getting to Great Gable,
Okay.
but I stopped at Stye Head Tarn because I was exhausted, I was shattered, and then I spent the night shivering, praying for morning. Everything was too heavy. Every single thing that I had was not really. I mean, it was, but it wasn't at the same time. It were everything. There was nothing were lightweight. I had a 3-season Berghaus tent in winter. I didn't even have a down sleeping bag. I just bought one off at Rails that go outdoors. So yeah, I laid there absolutely freezing all night, and then as soon as it started getting light, I packed up and got off.
Packed up and got off. We've all been there and done it. Like, we've all had those experiences where I remember once going to camping. It wasn't up a mountain, but I was camping down by the coast, and I remember pitching up, and everyone else near me was all in like motorhomes and things, and they were like, "Where's your accommodation?" I was like, "I'm in my tent." They were like, "Have you looked at the weather?" I was like, "Yeah, it'd be fine. It'd be all right." And it wasn't. My tent was kind of blowing into my face and just streaming with water because it wasn't waterproof enough. And we've all experienced it. So over this kind of period of time, then have you kind of started to really refine the equipment and things that you start to use? Have you got any kind of like advice for anyone out there, like lessons that you have learned from, I watched this, I tried doing that, and actually it didn't really work because of, have you got any lessons that you kind of learned that you could share with anyone, of bits of kit that you go, this is what worked really well for me, and don't do this?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have, it's a mix. I'm never trying to save, a few gram here and a few gram there, but I like my tents. I've got like heavy tents, but I've got some lighter weight ones as well now, and I pack accordingly for where I'm going. But again, if I'm looking at something, I watch loads of YouTube on what I'm about to buy. So yeah, I mean, I had for winter. I had a Berghaus one. It's so cheap, but you get a lot of tent for what you pay, but it's heavy. That's the only thing. So I've swapped my Berghaus for a Terra Nova, a Southern Cross one, which is, I think that's a good mix of lightweight and strength. And again, the sleeping bag, I've obviously got a winter and a summer one now, and they're both down, so they're quite lightweight. And yeah, I don't really take much. I used to take loads of beer up for some reason, and I never drink it. So I don't even bother with that no more. I might take one or two at most. But yeah, you do as you go along, you learn.
Is there any kind of pieces of kit that you go, without fail, regardless of summer, winter, whatever, I will always make sure that piece of kit's in my bag? And is there any pieces of kit that you particularly go, do you know what, this for me is, I love that. Like whether it's a pair of boots or a jacket or something like, is there any bits of kit that you would really highly recommend?
Yeah, I have like I've got like it's a really thin. It's like a Montane. It's just like a hooded jacket. I take that every single trip that I go on. I take that. But I also take sealskin socks. Or even if it's not really bad weather, I chuck them in just in case anyway. And like always gloves, always a torch. Um, and obviously always waterproofs as well. I mean, not always, most of the time waterproofs, because you know how it gets. Even when it says it's not going to rain, it can come in.
So with the Helvellyn Challenge, I suppose one of the things, or one that I kind of first want to know is why did you pick the Apex Challenge? How did this kind of come about? Where did your kind of want for this event come from?
To be fair, I saw it and I thought, nah, not for me that. And then I thought about it again afterwards. And I had another look, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this. So I thought, yeah, it's just the achievement of it, really. You know, it's literally it's just to achieve. It's a challenge, and I like a challenge. So you know, I'm going to do it. And like I said earlier, I'm going to raise some money while I do it as well. So it's
Yeah, let's talk about that. Because so what charity is it that you're going to be trying to raise money for?
So I'm going to do it for Andy's Man Club, which I got the idea from one of my mates. Sadly, lost his brother, so he did some charity work for Andy's Man Club. So that was just like the forefront of my mind. You know, of, right, I'll go do that. And at the same time, I've lost a couple of friends from suicide and what have you. So I thought while I'm doing this, and I'll be promoting it a lot and what have you, and I'll have I'll have a few eyes on me. I might as well raise some money as well and do some good at the same time. So that's what I've decided to do.
The Andy's Man Club, is it a charity which is based around kind of mental health, or is it men's mental health or suicide awareness? Or
It's men's mental health. I mean, they've got a load of groups up and down country, and they do a lot of group sessions and what have you. Yeah. So like they help men who might be struggling, have got nowhere to turn and what have you. So yeah, it's a good thing, and I might as well do some good if I can, haven't I?
Yeah, I mean, mental health for everybody is a huge thing, and I suppose men's mental health has a bit more of a stigma around it of guys sometimes thinking that they can't talk about stuff or trying to bottle things up. And we all know that, like through COVID, you were saying, just even through that period of time in lockdown, you were going mad, just not being able to do things, which has then encouraged you to get outside. And luckily you found an outlet, you found a channel for being able to kind of work through those feelings that you were having. And I suppose for a lot of guys out there, maybe it can be a big struggle. And like you said, I mean, unfortunately, you said you experienced it yourself and lost a couple of friends to it. And suicide is one of those things that sometimes people feel it's the only way out. But the more awareness we can raise about it, the better. And I suppose, I mean, have you found that doing things like getting outside and like getting into the fresh air and the hiking, have you found that beneficial for your own mental health and well-being?
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely. It's you become quite proud of yourself, for like the thing, like you get to the top of a mountain and you become really happy with yourself. But like also like, I mean, your body yourself responds well to exercise, don't it? So like if you're getting fit and you're exercising, and also if you're keeping up to it, when you look and you think, wow, I've done X amount of steps this week. So you start feeling proud of yourself, which you feel good about yourself because you've been out every day and you've done as much as you can all week, and you feel good about yourself for doing it. And then the scenery and that you get into as well. I mean, how can that not make you feel better? So yeah, you do definitely.
Yeah,
definitely
it's a
feel
huge
better
thing. it's a huge thing getting that kind of shift and allowing yourself to feel that positivity. Okay, so the final two questions for you. So the first one is, if you could describe the Apex Challenge in one word, what would that one word be?
Achievement.
Okay. What would it? So you say achievement. Is it?
Yeah.
Is it personal achievement for yourself, or is it achievement in, I don't know, maybe the charity work that you're doing? Is it a mix of both? Is it more than that?
It's more for myself, and it's not just the actual completing the challenge. It's the completing the training that leads up to the challenge, making sure getting the gear right, getting the food right on the build up. Just the full build up to it is an achievement in itself, and then actually achieving the challenge.
The final question, obviously, the whole idea of what we're doing is to scale the cumulative height of Mount Everest, because we can't all get over to Everest. So, what would, if you could say, what is your Everest? What's your mountain? What is your goal?
My goal again is to achieve it, and I think it's really it's good because it was the first one that I did, and when I say I struggled on it, I struggled, and so to go back and do it 9.2 times is like it kind of sums up my journey from then to September, and and then it's my 40th birthday as well, a month after.
Is
So I'm
it?
gonna, yeah. So 5th of October, I'll be 40 years old as well. So I'll complete that, and then by the time I've recovered, I'll be ready to be 40-year-old. So it's like it shows where where I started and where I've got to, and then we can look forward to see what we can complete after that.
Who knows? Maybe one day we'll see you actually getting up the proper Everest. Maybe that'll be the next one.
I don't.
Craig,
I'm not looking.
it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks so much for being part of it. And I dare say we'll see you again soon, and we'll have another chat. So thank you so much, buddy.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
All right, guys, that has been absolutely amazing. I mean, genuinely, I could sit and talk to every one of our competitors for hours. There's so many more questions that I've already got that I want to ask Craig. There's so many more things I want to see. I definitely think I need to get up north and start joining in with some of these hikes and stuff. I think I might have to start getting into a bit of wild camping as well, get a bit of that on the go. It's been great to have your company. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow along. There's a whole host of other content. And if you haven't signed up for the Apex Challenge and you're thinking, what is this about? Maybe I want to have a little bit more of an understanding, or I'm thinking about it, make sure you get over to the apexeverest.com, check out the site, and we'd love to have you on there. So we'll see you again soon, guys. Take care, and see you next one.